My name is Bakari Sellers. I'm from the Strom Law Firm in Columbia, South Carolina. We have Clay Tyler, who is from right here in the area, and Harry Daniels from Atlanta, Georgia. We're civil rights attorneys. We're civil rights attorneys who represent the family of Ricky Cobb II. There's a bit of irony in me being here, and the first thing I want to do is fall on the sword and publicly apologize to this family that I represent, because when I was here last time before you all, we expressed a great deal of faith in the process. We were very hopeful in the process, and this family, following my lead, decided we were going to wrap our arms around the district attorney here in Hennepin County. That faith was misplaced, and we stand here today frustrated. We stand here today, it's fair to say, outraged. And Ms. Miller-Fields called me yesterday, or day before yesterday, and said it was on her heart that she felt as if we were hoodwinked and bamboozled. And I think that those words are accurate. I want to lay out a few things as we go through the process, and then we're going to have a few family members speak, and then I'll come back and answer any questions. First and foremost, so you understand how this process played out and how this process was not done, we feel, with justice or righteousness, is that on Sunday afternoon, we received a phone call. I received a phone call from my clients, all of them, trying to figure out what was going on. I was unaware that the district attorney had reached out to them and wanted them to hurry down to this particular building for a 3 o'clock meeting. It was an update for the family. Clay practices law here in this county often, and I said, have you ever received a call about any of your cases at 3 p.m. on a Sunday? And during that conversation, they told us that they were dropping the charges. They had lawyers from the Steptoe firm, 3 African-American lawyers on the call with us. And during this call, I received a call from the Tribune asking me about the decision that was made. And so while we were actually meeting with Miss Mary, they were leaking their decision to get their political narrative out. And so I want you guys to understand how this process late on a Sunday afternoon played out. I've never been a part of anything such as that, and I believe that that goes to many of the issues that we have. We laid out a few things, or a few things were laid out, that the tactics that were used were horribly executed. They talked about the mishaps as presented by some of their independent investigators and special prosecutors. But all in all, there are a few things I want you all to recognize. Nothing in that video changed from the time this officer was indicted to the time charges were dismissed. Every officer in the United States of America that's been charged or accused of shooting someone unarmed has stated that they've been in fear for their life. And so Trooper Lundregan's excuse is not anything new. The video clearly speaks for itself. I want to address the comments made this morning by Trooper Lundregan's attorney, just on a very human level, and say the audacity of someone to paint themselves as a victim when this family had to celebrate a birthday for Ricky Cobb II and he wasn't here. When this grandmother and grandfather have to raise his children. When this family has to go to a memorial site. When they want to spend time with their loved one. When this family will never be able to see him matriculate or get older or mature in life or do things that other people have the ability to do, and for you to have the audacity to say that your client is a victim, for you to have the audacity to say that somebody owes him an apology, I think is totally misplaced. Today, we are drafting a letter that will be completed and circulated later on, asking for the FBI and the Department of Justice, particularly the Civil Rights Division, to come in and not only investigate the shooting of Ricky Cobb II, but based upon the Hennepin County Attorney's own recommendations, we want them to investigate the Minnesota State Patrol. I've never been a part of a case where an individual was charged with a crime, then articulated his own defense, and then the prosecution said, hey, we're going to dismiss these charges because of what you told us. I've never been a part of a case where there has been such systemic and thorough undertraining, non-training. I believe that every citizen of Minnesota should be concerned now knowing that these officers go out on the streets, put themselves in danger, and do so untrained. And last but not least, all of us standing up here today, we want more African Americans to be a part of law enforcement. We want our law enforcement to be trained. We want law enforcement to be prayed for. And most importantly, we want them to be able to go out and do their job and come home safely every night. But what we also want is for individuals like Ricky Cobb II, whose only crime was apparently not having his taillight on at night, to be able to come home as well. You do not shoot into moving vehicles. You do not put yourself in danger. None of the tactics that were used by these officers were done so soundly. And I think the only thing in the past 72 hours that we've heard of some level of honesty from Miss Mary, the steptoe firm in the Hennepin County Attorney's Office, is that Ricky Cobb II should be alive today. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Mama briefly to say something. Then we will have Daddy briefly say something. I always like my brother Rashad to say something. He's always speaking his truth to power. Then we will come back and take some questions. They will speak briefly. Please refrain from questions until the end.
Okay, well, good afternoon, and thank you for your time, energy, and efforts to the media. But my question is, you should never be killed on a traffic stop, number one. Okay? That didn't make no sense. Londregan made it home. My son didn't. And then the lies that keep rolling around the situation. Also, is it part of their law to just lie? Is that in the law book? To just lie? My son was an excellent son to me. He was fully grown, and he had aspirations. He was wonderful. He was a father, and he was a human being, a working human being, and paid taxes. So make it make sense, and thank you.
Daddy?
Yes, sir. Mine is simple. I said this once before. Justice, I knew that wasn't going to happen. The truth came out. Our taxpayers' dollars pay for untrained officers, armed, to run these streets to protect us. I don't want my taxpayers' dollars to go that way. Not the way my arthritis hurts in my body. No. And I got years to go with this kind of pain to pay my taxes. For this, I got my truth. Now I know where I stand. Thank you.
Good job, Mom and Dad.
Good afternoon. This morning we're gathered here again in disappointment in Minnesota. I wake up every day and tell myself I'm a winner. So why would I have to look at my people and consistently take losses? We have laws set in order for people to be in law and order. The citizens we have that are unarmed, that's killed by our police and our state troopers, is astronomically high. Our training in Minnesota from our DA told us that they don't have the proper training so they can go around and basically do whatever they want. I don't see everybody with a badge, so how is that fair? The only ones can run around playing Wild Wild West games is the ones who're supposed to uphold the law. When we don't uphold the law, we do time or we get charged for the crime. So why do we look at police who murder and don't get charged? I've never seen charges in 34 years brought, court dates set, everything rescinded off of a lie. But who's got a fair shot here? I don't think citizens got a fair shot here. If a law is for the citizens, then who are the citizens if it's not upholded for us then? By this time, I have to continue to walk by faith and not by sight.
Amen.
Because that's what the scripture says. And I'd rather believe the Most High than a lying government that do demonic things and want us to trust them consistently. I don't think so. And we as a people should stand up against this crap. Somebody, somewhere, feel the same way I do. And if you look like me, and if you feel like me, we should do something about it. People like Governor Walz, he's not doing his job. Let's find somebody who can. Mary, not enough balls. Let's find somebody who can. Because when we got to stand on this business, it's just business we standing on. Nothing personal. But ain't nobody standing up with us when it gets personal. But everybody want to beat us when it's personal. So I just want everybody to understand. We was moving off a peaceful movement to begin with, and we're going to continue to do as such. But one thing I want them to understand is we're not taking no's no more. Thank you.
You know, one of the things that Rashad was talking about is this family has asked throughout this entire process for people to be peaceful and lift their voices. And today we're asking for a call to action from our NAACP, our civic organizations, our Divine Nines, our churches, all of those quote-unquote progressives that say that they reside in Minnesota, all of those good folk of good common hearts and good spirits that reside here in Minneapolis. This family stands here alone. And what they've been through throughout this process, no family should have to go through. With that, we'll take a couple of questions, and then we'll, yes, sir.
Yes, I just would like to know from the family, has any of you all reached out to any faith members, leaders, ministers, and pastors, anything like that, to come and stand with you all in solidarity? And also, the gut-wrenching call that you all have received on a Sunday morning is totally preposterous, and I know that you had experienced something like that again when you buried your son's body, and they did it again to you on another Sunday morning. Like, it's totally disrespectful of humanity.
Let me also just address, and I'm going to let anybody who wants to answer it, but this family should not be in a position where they have to reach out to anybody. What we're asking is that the community wrap their arms around them.
Thank you.
And I want people in the streets every single day peacefully talking about the fact that this family was done wrong. And the reason that we believed in Miss Mary is because black folk in this country oftentimes do not get to feel what justice looks like. And so when we go down this path and we're given a semblance of hope that this will be just, we gravitate towards that, only to be let down again. Anybody want to?
Me too. Rephrase. Can you
No,
ask?
no.
Myra, how did the news come to you? It was Sunday. Did Mary call personally?
Yes, she called me, well, not her personally. You know, she has secretaries, advisors, you know, her name is Sarah. So I don't really know her title, but she called me as I was just fixing my baby's breakfast, and we had a fun Sunday. Well, it wasn't very fun because I could feel the tension in her voice, and I asked one question, is this good or bad? I'm not able to tell, you know? So that hurt my feelings, but I pushed forward and took my children out anyway, you know, and got us some relaxation. And we had to be here at 3:30. And then they held us up for a good 15, 20 minutes to bring us back to deliver this type of nonsense. And that hurt me because I had my kids with me. I had nowhere to drop them off at that time, so they had to be in this building as well on a Sunday. And they had fell asleep. Next thing I know, I had to have a staff member to watch my car. Now, if that's not so many ways disrespectful and inhumane, I don't know what else you want me to say.
Next
Thank
question.
you.
There have been calls for Mary Moriarty to resign.
Listen, we're trying to get justice. That's a decision she should make. There's an election coming up. People can make their own decision about that. You know, people resign if they want to. They don't resign or stay on if they want to. We don't. Let me just say, Mary Moriarty's resignation is probably 97th on our list of things that we're trying to accomplish right now. We want the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division to come in. We still are proceeding with our federal civil rights lawsuit against both officers. Something needs to be done with the Minnesota State Patrol. We just have a bunch of other things we want to rally the community to focus on, other than, like I think Rashad said it best, it's personal for us because it involves a loved one in Ricky Cobb II. This is politics for them,
Yeah.
and that's unfortunate.
Okay, one thing that came up yesterday, just I found interesting, and trying to kind of just connect the dots on this. The governor, the defense attorney, in the criminal side, said he took a call from the governor's office this week or last week, wanting to know, do you still want us to intervene? That seemed like an odd governor to the defense attorney in a criminal case. I mean, did you catch that? Did you have any opinion on that type of backdoor dealing, if you will?
Sometimes you don't even need to ask the question that you answered yourself. This family's been treated so poorly by everyone. And we don't want an apology from Governor Walz. That's no need. What happened at the beginning of this case when he met with them was disingenuous. The action since then been disingenuous. If, in fact, he met with, and I don't trust Chris Madell, so let me start there. But if, in fact, what he said is accurate, I would love to hear that from the governor himself. Then I find that to be a huge problem. And hopefully, not only voters, but the Department of Justice can come in and lay some eyes on that. And we've been bamboozled throughout this process, so that would not surprise me.
How do you see this influencing the civil case that's coming up, this decision?
We're still evaluating that, but the report that's been released, the executive summary, has, I believe, emboldens I've never seen a litany of mistakes as outlined, but we're going to go through that process, and we look forward to handling that in the court of law. I try not to make things personal with other lawyers. However, the ad hominem woe is me from Chris Madell this morning, insulting this family, I feel as if I have to respond.
Counselor, you said something about this is politics as usual. When Mary Moriarty opened up her press conference, she talked about the police officer who was tragically killed. That's how she started off. Do you think this has something to do with like politics moves? And also, she indicated that she had been getting threat calls from the state troopers, if you will.
No, Rashad and we talked about this yesterday, this morning, excuse me, and our hearts go out to that officer.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That officer should not be dead today. That officer should be able to come home. There is no righteousness behind murdering law enforcement in the streets. Does that have anything to do with the decision made?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
I
When you move that type of needle, you actually see Minnesota moving this way for a week. First you rescind 30 years on the sentence, and then this murder happened of a cop. Then you dismiss my brother's case. So Minnesota been very demonically busy speaking, right? But if we don't say nothing about the moves they're actually making, what does a situation in South Minneapolis got to do with a situation that happened last summer? But you guys put it in the same category and then made a decision to drop one so you can fight for the other. That's not fair. That's
And I would like
political.
to intercede as well. Mary did say that they didn't have the actual manpower to keep running it. And that was like, well, whose fault is that?
Yeah. That was taxpayers. Yeah, Miss Mary did tell us that one of the reasons that they had to farm the case out was because they didn't have the resources or the lawyers capable to handle this case, which I felt was very, very disappointing. And so they brought in and they said nobody wanted to take it as well in the office. And so when you couple those things with the fact they brought in some other black lawyers to look this family in the face, it's very disappointing. We'll take one more question, if there is one.
So what will you be wanting the FBI or the federal departments to be looking at?
Listen, the Department of Justice comes in often to the situations like this, the Civil Rights Department, and they investigate police departments around the country. I don't think there's any more glaring example of a department that needs to be investigated than the Minnesota State Patrol. All of you all have linked, I don't know if you've read it, but all of you all have linked the executive summary in every single news article that you posted. I encourage you to go back and read that executive summary and look at the failures that were outlined. Just those failures that were outlined mean that somebody needs to come in and investigate the Minnesota State Patrol. And so we're asking them to do that, because if this continues, then you'll have more innocent people. And one of the things that I won't do, and this family won't do, is allow Ricky's legacy to be in vain. And so we don't want there to be another Ricky Cobb II. Thank you, and God bless you all.